Alright, so did you all watch Secret Invasion Episode 6, which is the last episode of the season or series, depending on how it does? Now, there's so much that happens, so I'm going to give nothing but spoilers. So, Gravik becomes a Super Skrull. Now, you might say, well, I thought he was already a Super Skrull. Didn't I see him do that Groot thing in the previous episode? You're absolutely right, but he had access to something called the Harvest in this episode that was brought to him by Nick Fury, but it was actually Gaia. And you might say, Zen, why would she actually do that? Well, so that she could gain access to gaining these abilities as well, because Gaia also became a Super Skrull. Not only that, but the actual Nick Fury is able to convince the president to stop the launching. Now, that was all a plot by Gravik in order for basically the United States to blame Russia for everything that's been going on and to basically prove that the Skrulls are working with Russia. And in some way, that allows Gravik to basically swoop under in the chaos and take over. Now, towards the end of the episode, we learn that there's a lot of people who are actually Skrulls. Here's one of them. Now, one of the things that we learn is that Rhodey's been a Skrull for a really long time. How long? Well, I would say since Endgame. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when Rhodey was saved by Gaia, he couldn't move his legs. But some can make the argument that it's actually post Civil War, which is around the time where he lost use of his legs when he was going against Vision. Now, something that really expands the Secret Invasion is that the President of the United States basically sends this message. And this message is like, we're going to get every single one of you, Skrull, and you're done. Now, this does a couple of things. It has vigilantes who are going after Skrulls, but it also has Skrulls who are unalive people who they thought they're Skrulls, but they're actually just regular people. And Nick Fury calls him up and says, like that speech was a little bit too much because we actually have Skrulls who are good, and you're having people going out there doing all of this crazy stuff, and they don't even know who they're shooting at. And going back to Gaia, she's on her way through a dark alley and she gets recruited. But what does she get recruited for? I'm still not too sure about that. And one of the things that we come to a great understanding is that there were a ton of people who were Skrulls, and we knew this. But in terms of important individuals, there may be more that we've seen in previous movies and even shows that could have been Skrulls. Now, I have to be super honest with you. This was a show that I was not looking forward to watching. And I think I internalized a lot of negativity when it came to the MCU and some of the quality work that they had been producing. But let me say that my thoughts around this show was absolutely wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed every single episode from start to finish.
To be like Talos and put my trust in you, you picked us, Fury.
Now, this is one of those shows, especially episodes 1 through 5, where they did not need to harp on special effects or poor CGI the whole entire time. The cast, the acting, everything was absolutely phenomenal. Now, in particular, there's a scene in episode 6 where Gravik is speaking to Nick Fury prior to getting the harvest. Well, Nick Fury was actually Gaia, but the acting was so amazing. The emotion, the output that Gravik, the actor, was given was just like, wow. Like,
And just so I am absolutely clear about this, Fury, you look at me. Look at me.
I want to see this character more, which, spoiler, we won't see this character anymore, but still yet, it was absolutely amazing. And I must say that this is the type of show that I'm looking forward to seeing more of. Now, not the show in particular, but the groundedness, right? That the stakes are really high. There are special powers and abilities that are being showcased, but they didn't come until truly the end of the episode or the tail end of episode 5, a little snippet in episode 4, and then everything was brought together in a really unique and organic way in episode 6. And some might even say, well, the CGI wasn't like 100% great, but it wasn't to the level that we've been seeing some of the CGI in previous MCU projects. So honestly, if I had to give this show a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid 8.9 out of 10. Now you might say, what does all of that mean? 8.9 out of 10. Well, number one, it's an arbitrary number that just gives room for improvement on a show. I think it's a very high quality base show, but I do think that there is room for some form of improvement to make it to a 10, right? Um, what would I do in order to make this a 10? I might make it a little bit longer, but I understand the aspect of needing to only fit everything into a small amount of episodes in order to see how it does. It's kind of like you're giving everyone I don't know, a hors d'oeuvre, right? And you're like, delicious, right? I want some more. Instead of you giving them a whole meal and then they're like, I don't really like it so much, right? So I do understand the business aspect of giving a little bit less so that you could produce more later on if the little bit is successful. Now there's so much that I left out. So if you have not been watching the show, please go out and watch Secret Invasion. It is absolutely amazing. I'm not getting sponsored for anything, but I just want to give that hype and that geekdom for you all to just go out there and watch Secret Invasion. And now here's some bonus thoughts. I thought certain characters were gonna come back once they were unalived in the show. For example, Maria Hill. She didn't come back. Talos, I thought he was gonna come back too. No, he's gone. So I hope shows like this pave the way for the future of the Disney Plus shows and even the MCU, right? One of the projects that I'm looking forward to the most is the Thunderbolts. And not so much because of the powers. Yes, I'm looking forward to the characters with the abilities, but I'm looking for grounded characters with really big stakes, right? This is one of those shows where not everyone had the most fantastical abilities, but the stakes were so high. And I know this is one of those shows where you didn't see the Avengers, you didn't see the Hulk, you didn't see Ant-Man and all these other fantastic characters because they're doing their own thing. And Nick Fury brings a quote up and he says, if we always rely on the superheroes to do everything, then we won't be able to do the things that we need to be able to do. Now, of course, he didn't quote it just like that, but I'm paraphrasing the quote in the show. But yeah, go out and watch Secret Invasion. I'm out of here because I've been talking a lot on this video.